start with the webinar. So I'm going to scroll over here to the slideshow. So Fennig Equipment became a Salford dealer sometime back in that 2012 range. And what it has done for us is it's given all of our customers a great option for not only tillage, but of course they offer the air lines as well for the dry fertilizer and cover crops. But today we are Ohio's largest Salford dealer. We feel this product line really gives us a big benefit to not only us, but our customers in the highest quality lineup of tillage tools available. We've gained market share throughout the area, mainly by our ability to demo tools to customers who are interested in that tool. We currently have almost every tillage tool that we're going to talk about in our inventory. So that gives us the ability to bring those to your farm and show you how they're going to work on your soil, show you how they're different from the competition. And obviously in the future, we're striving to be the Midwest's largest Salford dealer. The history of Salford, and this is mainly the history of Salford's tillage tools and in the way that you guys are familiar with Salford's tillage tools. Most people are familiar with the 450 and 570 tillage tools. Those are the standard older style vertical tillage tools. They were the first vertical tillage tools to the market, and they were on 7.5-inch spacing. They were great tools. They still are great tools, and we have a lot of customers that run them. Maybe the downside of those tools is customers will tell you that they didn't do enough. They didn't move enough dirt for you, and maybe there was just a little bit more aggressive things that people were looking for in that scenario. So newer Salford tillage tools, so from 2013 on, they built heavier frames and narrow spacing. So 5-inch spacing machines that have a narrower spacing, heavier duty undercarriage, larger tire sizes available, and just more weight per square foot, basically more weight per coil. So when they came out with those newer tools in 2013 and 14, basically it allowed us to stack up with those gang tools that were chasing us. The gang tools, and I'm going to talk a lot about them here, they do make it look pretty on top. But when you dig underneath, they all have a smear layer, and that is because they are blades at an angle that are dragging sideways, whereas Salford is the true vertical tillage, and that is where you get the true jackhammer effect of the vertical fracturing, and also the side-to-side movement is what you get. So not only is it great to have that, and we'll talk about the several reasons why we like the hammering effect, but it's also great because when you have to work on these tillage tools, you don't have to take off a gang. You can just individually change blades and springs very easily. But one thing I want to really harp on is, and we'll talk about here in a little bit, is the independent blades. So in 2015, they came out with what they call the switchblade shank. That allows us to turn these tools into basically a chisel point. Now we also have the hydraulic adjustable tines and rolling basket. That's been a huge plus for guys to really control the finish of that tool on the go. Today, Salford offers the most versatile lineup of tillage tools on the market, from their field cultivator, vertical tillage, their hybrid 4000 series, and their 5200 heavy-duty incorporators. So today, the way Salford numbers their tillage tools is a very good way of doing it. It can get confusing a little bit, so we're going to study up on those numbers here real quick to brief everyone and to show everyone what tool maybe would work best for them. So the 570 tool is no longer called a 570. Today, that tool is called an 1100. So an 1100 is 7.5-inch spacing, 20-inch blades, and 1.5-inch coils. 1.5 coils is your standard 570. I'm going to call that your standard duty tool. 7.5 inch spacing with 20-inch blades and a 4-bolt hub. 1200 is 5-inch spacing, so just narrower spacing, still 20-inch blades, still 1.5 coils. 2100 is where you get into when you have the 2000 or the 2 number in front. That is always 22-inch blades, 1.5 coils. When there's a 1 in front, 20-inch blades, 1.5 coils. So a 2200 is 5-bolt hub, 22-inch blades, 1.5 coils. And then you get into the 4000 series of the hybrid tools. 4100 is on 7.5-inch spacing, 42 is on 5s, and then our 5200 is our heavy duty incorporator, 5-inch spacing, 22 or 24-inch blades on torsion springs. So that's the Salford tillage by the numbers. The numbers basically describe what that tillage tool is and basically what it does. So as you go from the lower number to the heavier number or to the higher number, you get into basically more aggressive of a tool. The advantages of the Salford, you know, I'm going to talk about this quite a bit throughout this webinar, but you know, Salford hangs their hat on being the true vertical tillage tools. And what does that mean? What that means is all of our blades run 100% straight. So we don't have any side-to-side movement. We don't have any gank. So we are fracturing the soil 3 to 4 inches below the blade depth. We're breaking compaction vertically by running our blades truly straight up and down. And I'll show you in a little bit how we do that. But when we can do this, it makes maintenance much easier. It makes changing blades much easier. And it makes it for a more versatile tool. They ride on contours easier, and they're able to tiptoe through those wetter fields, especially like we had this past spring, much easier than that gang machine could ever dream of doing. They have a cup and cone bearing system with triple lip seal. Today, these bearings on these tools are tough to beat. It's not something we go through very often. They can take quite a beating. Like I said, the independent blade design floats on contours and wetter soils. Easy to change blades. Rocks and obstacles are a non-issue due to their independent design and the 100-hour grease interval on the blade hubs. The new tools, again, are a big improvement over the 570 tools. I talked to a lot of customers who owned 570s 10, 15 years ago, and they always say, you know, that tool just wasn't aggressive enough, and it gives them almost a bad taste about Salford in their mouth. But today, these tools are totally different from the old standard 570s. Heavier frame, heavier undercarriage, narrower spacing. The bearings are much better. And today, I would put any one of these tools up against these popular gang machines today, and you would see a ton of advantages. You see a lot of those gang machines because they make it look pretty on top, and the mainline dealers tend to carry and support that idea. But Salford is totally different, and that's the whole idea of this webinar, to walk you guys through why the Salford tools are superior and which ones would work best for your scenario. So I've got a couple of videos that I want to show you guys real quick, just a Salford 1200. So this is the 5-inch spacing tool, 20-inch blades with 1.5 coils. So he's working in some corn residue with some weeds in it. So heavy residue in the spring. So that ground was mellowed out quite a bit over winter, and it's making a really nice seed bed. He's actually not traveling at a real high rate of speed, but you can see right here in this clip, I'm going to stop it right here. This is where we get the jackhammering effect that I was talking about, is through this coil design right here. As this coil moves up and down quickly throughout the field, that's where we get the shattering, the jackhammering, and the compaction breaking effect of these tools. That's the whole idea, is if you watch this coil, it moves up and down and acts like a jackhammer to go down 3 to 4 inches below that blade and really help air out that ground. So that's the vertical tillage. All of these tools are finished off with a 3-bar harrow, and 14-inch rolling basket. Here's a video with the shanks in action. I haven't brought up the shanks yet, but the shanks are a great way to get a little bit more depth out of these tools. When you throw shanks at any one of these tools, it basically turns it into not only vertical tillage, but you can really dig in and get those ruts out, get the tire tracks out, work your headlands a little bit deeper, and pull out some compaction that some of these tools just can't quite reach. The shank kit, you throw that on any of these tools and they're extremely versatile in what they can do. So let's move on to the next one, the Salford 2200. You're going to see a similar finish and what this tool is doing compared to that 1200 you just saw. But basically 5-inch spacing again. This guy's running a little bit faster, so you're seeing quite a bit of action out of that rolling basket. But basically what we're doing here is breaking the crust, airing it out, fracturing vertically, and sizing that residue on top while leaving it with a really smooth seed bed. We're going to dig through these numbers here in a little bit even further. But here's a Salford 4100 running, our hybrid tool. The Salford 4100 has got blades in the front that lift, bury, and incorporate, much like you can see here. So these blades right here in the front, they're on a compounded angle. They're turned vertically and horizontally to lift and flip without creating a smear level. And then the blades in the back are true vertical tillage to size and cut that residue. You can see how well this tool does. It's similar to a field cultivator in the way it works. Here in the fall, I've got a lot of guys that use this to actually bury corn stalks because there's a lot of tools out there that just cut them and you get them blowing in the wind. But this tool does a great job lifting, burying, and sizing residue to create a perfect scenario in the spring where you can either stale seed bed it, or you can go in there and hit it real light once with a vertical tillage tool or something just to break it up and air it out. This 4000 series tool can do fall work and it can do spring work, the most versatile tool in the Salford lineup. We'll dig into that one here in a little bit. The 5100 or 5000 series tool is our heavy duty incorporator. It has the compounded angled blades from front to back. There's 4 rows of these blades. This unit right here can take any high residue field and completely turn it black. It's our heavy duty incorporator is what I call it. Of course, it's finished off with a 3-tine harrow and a rolling basket, like all the tools. But let's get into some videos here of this 5100, show you what this thing can do. This is the funnest tool to demo to guys because you can run at high speeds, 6 to 9 miles an hour, run 3 to 5 inches deep, and just completely bury residue. It's great for working in manure, great for burying residue in the fall of any type, but you can see the storm of dirt, residue, and all the dirt in there just getting mixed together so well. But what's so impressive is how well this tool finishes. You can see there's not a lot of clods. It's not real clumpy. This stuff is going to overwinter extremely well. Maybe a 1-pass and plant for sure, and you'll be off to the races in the spring. I've got another video here of a 5200, which of course would be the 5100, but on 5-inch spacing. So here is the design of those blades. You can see how they're turned on 2 different axes. That allows us to lift and flip without creating a smear level that you can typically find with a gang machine. You look at the gang machine, they're only on 1 axis. And you're also dragging that blade sideways. So this blade runs sideways through that field and just creates a smear level. And that's bad for your roots. The Salford fixes that problem with the 5200. Really like what this thing does, the way it finishes, how true it runs, and roughly 3 to 5 inches deep. You can see right there, this thing is built to incorporate at high speeds. So I'm briefly going to talk about it. Of course, we're talking Salford tillage, so I've got to talk about all of them. And we don't often talk about their inline ripper. It's not just another inline ripper. This thing holds a lot of really true advantages compared to the competition. We've got a reversible shin, so you get twice the wear life out of it. Auto reset shanks, of course, that's hard to find in the marketplace. Infinite depth adjustment, so you're not just locked into depths every inch or so. These are built in 5 and 7 shank models. I've got a 5 shank here in inventory if anyone would like to run our 9200 inline ripper. Salford field cultivators, I'm not going to talk a lot about them, although they are the superior cultivator on the market. We're mainly going to hone in on fall tillage tools, being that it's that time of year. But once the calendar turns to 2020, we'll definitely be doing webinars on what sets this Salford field cultivator apart, no doubt. So I'm going to turn our screen back here over to the Salford Independent Series lineup and go through their book. This book actually has a lot of really good details and specs about what sets the Salford tillage tool apart. So they talk here briefly about compaction and how it inhibits air and oxygen from getting down into the soil. And that's exactly what these VT tools were designed to do, is to break that compaction and introduce air back into the soil. And they do an extremely good job of that, and it's done by that jackhammer effect of that coil. So if we go through here, they create very good visuals to show disc gangs versus independent coils and what the benefits are. The obstacle protection, if you get a rock, it's not going to affect any other quarters, much like it does on the gang machine. The Salford Independent Series handles contours much better. The residue flows through there. You don't have the scrapers and the gangs to block that. So residue flow is optimized. And the positive colder vibration. This is the big one where we get the jackhammering effect. Not only do we move surface dirt, but we're vertically breaking compaction without having to bring things through the dirt horizontally to mess up our microbes and our soil health. Believe it or not, Salford, being a tillage company, is also a very big soil health company. The reason they can walk those two lines is because our idea is to not bring things through the ground horizontally, but to do it vertically. And that is shown here on all their vertical tillage tools. We don't slide gangs across ways. We run true vertical, and we'll, of course, elaborate with that throughout this webinar. These coils, like you see here, are made to swivel, so you can swivel left and right. And they also, of course, have the vertical flex. This vertical flex here is where you get that jackhammer effect from. You run this thing at 6 to 8 miles an hour. That's why we want speed. We want speed because when you get speed, you get these coils really moving. And you get these blades going through the field to really help jackhammer and break up that soil. So, of course, boron steel blades, single point depth control. If you study the Salford tools and their quality, it's hard to beat the quality that comes with the Salfords. Here's a blowout version view of their bearings and seals. One thing I haven't brought up yet is you guys in Ohio and Indiana, there is a Salford depot located in Sydney, Ohio. Most people do not know that. The Salford depot carries enough parts to basically build one of these Salford tillage tools. So if Fennig equipment doesn't have it in stock, it is at the Salford depot. So you will never be down for long periods of time. If you do break a coil, break a walking tandem, or something goes wrong, we have you covered. Salford's got your back here in Ohio. So of course, all these hubs and bearings and castle nuts and rolling baskets, they're in stock here in Ohio. So that's a good peace of mind for everyone in the general location. Here's a really good visual of their switchblade shanks that I was talking about. You can add those. Mainly, guys are adding those to that 4000 series tillage tool. The flex finish basket. This is something that's been a big advantage or a big seller for people, mainly in the 4000 and 5000 series lines. And that's because we usually run those tools a lot in the fall. And we're usually going 3 to 5 inches deep. And, you know, everyone just got an inch to an inch and a half of rain. And we can sometimes be bringing up a little bit of moisture. And you can actually lift that rolling basket out of the ground with the hydraulic flex finish basket. Because we're doing this in the fall, our finish isn't extremely crucial like it is in the spring, but it just gives you another option. Today, the rolling basket is mounted on a 4-piece torsion. This allows it to flex a little bit. Some of you guys who have the older tools are used to the U-bolts. Those U-bolts would break over time because of the moving effect of the rolling basket. The new torsion has certainly taken care of that. Of course, you guys have seen the cover crop seeders mounted on top of these vertical tillage tools. They basically briefly talk about that right here. We'll get into it a little bit later. But if you own a vertical tillage tool, you basically are owning a drill that can seed wheat, cover crops, and yes, I even have guys doing soybeans. You know, barley is a big one. Of course, rye. If you want to seed anything with it, you certainly can. It's already been done. Guys are seeding all kinds of stuff with their Salfords. So I'm going to go back through the book and re-talk these numbers to really hone in and tell you what tool does which one, so that the viewers know when this webinar is over, hey, I think that 4000 tool is what I'm looking for, or maybe, you know what, I think that 1200 is what I need, to give you guys a good idea. So this 1100, okay, the 1100 is our basic standard base model vertical tillage tool. It's on 7.5-inch spacing, 20-inch blades. This is what replaced the 570. So if you own a 570 today, but you're looking just to upgrade, but you like what the 570 does for you, this 1100 is definitely for you. It is not designed to take out ruts. It is not designed to fill in holes. But this tool is designed to go out in the spring, create a perfect seed bed, air out the soil, and break down compaction. That is what this tool is designed to do. It would also be a great tool for seeding cover crops. Again, you're going to work that soil 1.5 to 3 inches deep with that 1100. In the fall, you can go a little bit deeper, but in the spring, 1.5 to 3 inches. 1200. If you guys are familiar with the 570s, again, the tools that maybe did not move enough dirt for you, or if you're familiar with a Kraus or a Great Plains or a Landau, the tools that can move dirt on the surface and make it look pretty, this 1200 is the tool, one of the tools that can run with those gang machines. So 5-inch spacing blades, so narrower spacing than the 1100, and 1.5-inch coils with 20-inch blades. So this tool is going to make it look pretty on top because you have a narrower blade spacing, but you're still going to get, of course, the jackhammering effect that the gangs can't offer. So when Salford moved to 5-inch, that made everything look prettier on top. You can see in this picture there's a good bit of dirt movement with this 1200. It's certainly more aggressive than that 1100. I would call it 2 passes of that 1100. Right here, this tool is very popular. I've got a few of these out and about. I've got 3 demo sizes available right now, 16, 31, and 24. So if you guys think the 1200 is one for you, give us a call. I'd be happy to pull it to you. Again, in the spring, this thing is going to work awesome to create that perfect seed bed and air out that soil. It's just you have to decide between these two if the 1100 is aggressive enough for you or if it's that 1200. From the 1200, we go up to the 2000 series, which means 1 5/8 coils, 22-inch blades. So with that, and 5-bolt hub, bigger hub and bearing. So this is on a heavy-duty frame, but 7.5-inch spacing. So this tool, in a roundabout way, is just a souped-up version of the 1100. It's got more weight per quarter. Probably going to do a little bit more surface vertical fracturing. Going to move a little bit more surface dirt, but it is exactly the best way to describe it is it is the heavy duty version of the 570, the heaviest duty version of the 570. Does a great job. I love this tool, mainly in the spring. 2100 is a very good choice. Extremely well built tool. 2200 and the 1200, think of those two tools as almost one and the same. There's a few differences between those two tools, and that being that the 2200 is, of course, 5-bolt hub, 22-inch blades, 1 5/8 quarters on 5-inch spacing. This thing's actually going to do a little bit more work than that 1200. It'll come with a notch more horsepower, but if you like what the 1200 does, you like the surface dirt movement, you like the idea of the 5-inch spacing, the 2200 is a step above that. It's maybe going to penetrate a little bit better if you get into those harder conditions, maybe where the 1200 won't go as deep. The 2200 has more weight to it, so you're going to vertically fracture a little bit deeper. 22-inch blades, 5-bolt hub, built for longevity, 1 5/8 coils. So again, souped up model of the 1200. Comes with a little extra horsepower. Price point's a little bit more, of course, but you run the 1200 and the 2200 side by side in the field, it's going to be pretty close when conditions are the same. But we're ending our trek through the vertical tillage tools right now. You have 1100, 1200, 21, and 22. I can tell you right now the most popular two are the 12 and 22. Guys today want to see that dirt movement. They love those 5-inch tools. They are the go-to. So you just have to ask yourself, do I like the 1200 or the 2200? Best way to determine that is call Fennig Equipment and demo one on your own farm. I've got a 2200 20-footer, and I've got 3 sizes of the 1200. So give us a call, we'll tow it to you, and we'll decide out in the field which one works best for you. From there, we go to our hybrid tools. We talked that the 4000 series tool is the most versatile tillage tool on the market for several reasons. We've got these compounded angled blades in the front that we talked about. 2 rows of those, finished off with 2 rows of true vertical tillage blades. So we get the best of both worlds with this tool. If you want to incorporate, if you want to do vertical tillage but still incorporate, this tool is for you. Very similar to a field cultivator, but does much better in the fall. The 41 and 42 is going to lift, flip, and incorporate corn stalks, manure, cover crops, any residue, and then those rear vertical tillage blades are going to size and chop. Then we finish it off with a 3-bar harrow and rolling basket. I've got farmers that use these in the fall and spring, maybe hit it once in the fall to get those stalks buried. It actually will bury them. They won't blow away when you hit it with this tool. Lift, flip, and bury manure corn stalks. And then maybe hit it again in the spring to air it out, fluff it up, and really have a perfect seed bed. This thing, again, is similar to a field cultivator in the spring. Run it over your bean ground, run it over corn, and plant right behind it in the spring, no doubt. I've got a few big tools running in Ohio of these around Bell Fountain, and they simply just hit them one pass in the spring and plant right behind it. Couple things that make this tool so versatile is the 2 different types of blades. At different depths, this tool does totally different things. You throw the switchblade hydraulic shanks on this 4000 series tool, and you basically have a disc chisel. That's no games whatsoever. A truly independent disc chisel that with the switch of a hydraulic lever, you can have your chisel shanks moving up and down throughout the field as you please. There's no other tool on the market that can have on-demand chisel shanks, that's for sure. So that tool, seed bed preparation, run it 2 to 3 inches deep, potentially 2 passes depending on what you're doing. In the fall, maximum operating depth of 4 inches to help incorporate. So again, there's 2 series of the 4000 series. There's a 41, 42. It's the same concept as the vertical tillage tools, 7.5 inch spacing on the 41, 5 inch spacing on the 42. This 42 is quite the animal. I do have one of these in stock, a 20 footer that you guys can tow around. Again, awesome incorporator, very versatile tool. It's a tool that can do anything in almost any condition. You just have to make the right adjustment. You can tilt this tool forward. You can tilt it back to get it more or less aggressive. And man, there's not much that tool right there cannot do for you if you're looking for a heavy duty incorporator. It will not take the place of our vertical tillage series, but if you're looking to do more, that's a tool for you. This 5200, this is a tool that is, I really love this tool. Salford outdid themselves when they came out with this 5200. It's a tool that's so extremely fun to demo to guys because they've never seen anything like it. This is not your standard 2-row short disc. In fact, this is a long disc. What I mean by that is there's so much dirt movement and action, and you saw that in the videos that I showed you. We might actually go back to those videos here in a little bit. But this is a tool that's going to take heavy residue and just turn it black. Take manure, completely incorporate it 3 to 5 inches, but leave it so extremely smooth finish that you're just blown away. You walk across this dirt back here after you've ran it, and it is just soft as a pillow. You can't find any compaction smears, and guys just look at you and wonder how in the world that tool did it. It's similar to a plow in a way. This tool does take some serious horsepower. If you're wanting, we've got a 12-foot 5100 to demo to you. That's going to take 200 horse. 16-footer is going to take 320. So definite horsepower, but man, what this tool can achieve is unlike any other tool out there. Again, here's an up top view of the 5200. There is 1, 2, 3, 4 rows of compounded angled blades versus your compact disc has got 2, and they're only on 1 angle, creating a smear effect. And here's your disc. This is your Great Plains, your Krause, your Landau. What you're doing here is you're running these things at an angle, and all you're doing is you're taking the weight of that tool, you're putting it on the blades, and then smearing it sideways through that field, and you get those tomahawk roots that just lay flat, pancake roots. They cannot penetrate it because they're not true vertical tillage. I told you I'd brief you quickly on the Valmars that we can throw on these vertical tillage tools. Here's a couple shots of them. You guys have certainly seen our videos on the cover crop seeders. That turns your vertical tillage tool into basically a planter of anything that you would like to plant. Of course, we can do our fertilizer commodity carts as well. So those are great tools for strip tillers as well. So real quick, I want to run through the specifications and sizing options of these the vertical tillage tools. So you can get these vertical tillage tools in 16 foot, and then 20, 24, 28, 31, 36, 41, 5 section, 41, 3 section, and then 50 and 60. I really like how Salford lays out these charts. They give you your transport height, transport width, number of coulters, your weight, and your approximate horsepower. I will tell you, typically you don't need quite as much horsepower as what they call for there. That's just based on my experience, but we can find out the true test is whenever we take it to your farm. But those are the sizing options, and that is true on all vertical tillage tools: 16, 20, 24, 28, 31, 36, 241s, a 50, and 60. That holds true for the 1100, 1200, 22, and 2100. Get down here to the 41, and it's basically the same. 5200 is a little bit different: 12, 16, 19, 22, 25, 29, 36, 39. This manual right here is available on Salford's website. I urge you to go to the salfordgroup.com. That'll show you all types of videos. It'll show you this independent series manual, which has a ton of information in it for you guys that are interested in Salford tools. I think I want to work on wrapping up the webinar at this point. We covered a lot of ground. I don't want to hold everyone up too long. I know there's a decent football game on today, even though the Cowboys have a bye, so there's not much to watch. But I will say, if you guys are thinking, the whole idea behind today's webinar was, guys are halfway through harvest, probably haven't started to get real aggressive on tillage, had a rain delay. Now is a perfect time to think of your fall tillage scenario and how Fennig equipment can help. So I want to real quick run through again the tools and what they can offer for you. This fall, a tool that would work great for you, 1222. What they're going to do for you this fall. In corn stalk ground, they'll do a great job of vertically fracturing. We've talked about that. They're going to size residue, and if the ground has enough moisture in it, they're going to pin those stalks to the ground. Salford does a better job than most at actually pinning those stalks to the ground. Now, if it's dry and extremely hard, I'm going to tell you that you're not going to want to just run them in the fall. All you're going to do is size some residue. If you want to get more aggressive in the fall, if you're used to running a disc or you're used to running a chisel, you need to call us and demo our 41 and 4200. I've got a 4100 here with chisel shanks on it that would blow you away on what that thing can do. If you're used to plowing in the spring, in the fall, or you just want to turn everything black, you need to call us and try out our 51 and 5200 tool. That tool, again, takes heavy residue, lifts, flips, and buries, and creates a spring seed bed at the same time. Now, if you're looking into the future, into this spring, the tools I would recommend to you, there's 3 of them. Number 1, there's 4 of them, the 1100 series. If you like what the 570s do, I cannot tell you how many times guys came to me this spring and said that Salford tool is the difference between me planting my soybeans and corn and not planting. The reason for that is these tools can get out there when it's wetter than when any other tool can. These gang machines, they don't like the spring very well. They create compaction, they're too heavy, and they bounce and flop throughout the spring. These vertical tillage tools, because the blades are evenly spaced, you can skate throughout there, set it real shallow, break that crust in the spring, and you'll be out there planting 2 days sooner than what your neighbor could ever think about it. So that's where the 1100 comes in. You can use it as a rotary hoe, you can use it as a crust breaker, and you can use it to prepare seed beds. The 1200 tool, that would be my other option for you, 1222. I'm going to categorize them together. 5-inch spacing, they're going to move surface soil, they're going to move surface residue, they're going to really break the crust, they're going to really vertically shatter, but they're going to create an awesome seed bed. They are the true one-pass tool that you can always plant behind no matter what, 12 and 2200. Third tool I'm going to throw at you for spring is the 4200. Basically like a field cultivator, lift, flip, incorporate, size. But man, that thing creates a perfect seed bed. So hopefully this gets your guys' brains thinking. I told you I would maybe show a couple more videos here real quick. We're going to show the 1200 again, and probably the 4200 to show you guys what these things can do. But I really want to thank everyone for tuning in today. Hopefully you didn't get too much rain, maybe just give you a little bit of break with the family here this weekend. We can get back into the fields maybe by Tuesday, Wednesday, a few more days like today, and we will be back in the field. But again, here's a 1200 running, vertical fracture, good bit of dirt movement, 3-tine harrow does the leveling, rolling basket crumbles and creates that smooth seed bed. From there, 2200, extremely similar in what it's doing. Right there's a good view of it. 1 5/8 coils, a little bigger around, 22-inch blades, 5-bolt hub. That's a great tool. Last video I'm going to show you is, again, another one of the 5100. Look at that dirt incorporation. The reason I call this one a long disc is because of how long this tool is. This dirt just gets shaken up and mixed back and forth throughout those 4 gangs until it's 100% mixed, and then it gets finished off with the 3-tine harrow and rolling basket. So that is it for today's webinar. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. This is going to get uploaded. It's live on Facebook right now. We'll upload it to YouTube. But hopefully that gets everyone's brains turning. If you guys have any more questions, call us. We have these tools strung out. We've got a location in Northeast Ohio up near Ashland with Tillage tools. We've got a gentleman down in Richmond, Indiana, and then of course our home base here in Western Ohio. We would be glad to take these tools anywhere, to take them to your farm and show you how they are superior. Give us a call this week while it's still wet. We can get tools in place for you to run when it does become dry. Thanks everyone for tuning into this webinar, and be sure to look for more. Join us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and of course YouTube. Have a safe rest of your harvest.